pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as follows. By having the time, date, and place of the meeting posted on the bulletin board in Administration Building, April 12, 2021. By sending a copy of the meeting notice to the Star-Ledger newspaper and the Union County local source on April 12, 2021. And by filing a copy with the Township of Hillside and the Hillside Library on April 12, 2021. Roll call.
Mr. Yanda, Ms. Best, Ms. Horton-Gibbons, Ms. Howard, here. Ms. Simmons,
Present.
Mr. Shapiro, Ms. Tucker,
Here.
Ms. Worrell,
Present.
Ms. Cook,
Here.
Quorum. I gave you a copy of what's on the screen behind you. The screen is actually for the public if you flip through the slides. The only difference between the meeting that we had in March, where I asked for your approval to bring this before the county superintendent and county business administrator, is that they have since approved it. They do a very fine-tooth comb look over. They found no exceptions in the presentation that I provided. I'll begin again now. Since you gave me the permission last month to bring forth the budget to the county superintendent and the county business administrator, it has since been approved as it was presented. There are no changes, which means the highlights as read by Finance Committee Chair Best last month also still hold. They're a little bit more glorified in the presentation format and the PowerPoint. So I'll walk you through these highlights once again. On the revenue side, funding, our state aid went up $2.8 million. That stays in line with the promises made over the past 4 years and one more year to come. Our third straight school year with a zero tax increase, and our county office have found that incredible. Surplus fully funded at 2% of general fund balance, or $1.9 million. I have since asked our auditor to do a revision or a projection for the end of June to see how we stand at the end of June. And we will be able to hold up to 4% of our general fund balance as surplus going forward to help us out a little bit. The next page is about programs and personnel. The thing that you as board members can be proud of, there's not a single cut to a personnel staff member or an educational program, and that is something to be proud of. As long as I've been here for the past 3 years, there has not been any such cuts to programs. Health benefits are budgeted for an 8.6%. We were doing very well along those lines. This is a little high, but things are starting to catch up with us, and in the middle of a pandemic, you would have to imagine that health benefit costs are going to rise to some degree. That's programs and personnel. On the facility side, we have done a lot, and we continue to do a lot. Our capital reserves provided for $2.3 million in construction. We did a roof, we're planning for the next year based on how well supplies are available, having a tough time getting a hold of construction material. Roof renovation and replacement at Saybrook and at the high school. We continue to replace sections of the high school roof. Toilet repairs and renovation, as we've done in the high school, we will continue that process at Saybrook, WOK, and Hurd & Looker. We have window replacement ongoing at Hurd & Looker, and we will continue that process. One side of the building is being done now. That is also an issue. Why it took so long is that there's a very difficult process in receiving supplies for construction right now. And the staircase chairlift, that is planned for Saybrook. We went over these items last time, and on top of this is an entire list of maintenance items that David DeFleury has planned for this upcoming year. Building maintenance projects, we are funding with $1.6 million that is in our budget, and we've made promises to our technology people for the maintenance of their $700,000 proposed budget. They are bringing our network back up to where it belongs. equipment needs as we continue to provide them. We're much more interested in providing technology and equipment internally now as we anticipate the return of our students soon. So it won't be about buying Chromebooks to hand out to the students any longer. I asked if there are any questions or concerns of the board, because I do ask at this moment, once I address any questions, that we pass this resolution, and with this resolution being passed, I forward this to the town of Hillside, and they strike the tax for the following school year, and they'll strike that tax at exactly the same amount that it's been for the past 3 years. Any questions or concerns on the budget for 21-22 from the board?
I don't have a question, just congratulations on keeping it, that sounds really good.
Thank you.
Awesome job.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And I will notice to the board president that any board comment, any public comment that came in on our email site today was one item, and it was administrative in nature, which I will bring to Superintendent Gregory tomorrow. There are no other public comments that have come in on either this budget or the one that follows tonight. If you would.
Motion to move item 1, approval of the 2021-2022 budget.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Wall. Mr. Ande is out, Ms. Best is out. Ms. Horton-Givens? Yes. Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Ms. Simmons?
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro?
Yes.
Ms. Tucker?
Yes.
Ms. Worrell?
Yes.
Ms. Cook?
Yes.
Your support is appreciated, thank you.
At this time, our budget has passed with a 0% tax increase.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Motion to close?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. What's that?
Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as follows. By having the time, date, and place of the meeting posted on the bulletin board in the Administration Building, April 12, 2021, by sending a copy of the meeting notice to the Star Ledger newspaper and the Union County local source on April 12, 2021, and by filing a copy of the township to the Township of Hillside and Hillside Public Library on April 12, 2021. Roll call.
Mr. Yande?
Present.
Ms. Best? Ms. Horton-Givens?
Present.
Mr. Howard?
Present.
Ms. Simmons?
Present.
Mr. Shapiro?
Present.
Ms. Tucker, sorry.
Present.
Ms. Worrell?
Present.
Ms. Cook?
Present. At this time, I'd like to take a motion to go into public comments.
Motion.
Second.
There are no public comment to report. Only one item came in on the email for the meeting, and it was an administrative matter that will be discussed with Mr. Gregory tomorrow.
Thank you. Motion to close public comments.
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
At this time, Mr. Shapiro, can you go over
The Finance Committee,
Finance?
Finance Committee met on April 22nd and discussed agenda and non-agenda items.
Thank you. Ms. Horton-Givens, can you go over buildings and grounds?
Buildings and Grounds Committee met on April the 22nd, right? And we discuss the proposal for our professors.
Okay, education did not meet on the 22nd. These are all items that reoccur. Ms. Tucker, can you move items under policy?
The policy committee met on April 22nd and discussed the agenda item.
And Mr. Shapiro, can you move items under labor?
The Labor Committee also met on April 22nd and discussed an extensive labor.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have our superintendent's report by Mr. Robert Gregory.
Good evening, Madam President, Madam Vice President, esteemed board members, and members of this amazing community. I want to begin by congratulating all students and their families who made the honor roll during the third marking period. Also those who were recognized as Students of the Month in your respected schools. Your commitment to education and your future is highly commendable. Additionally, I'd like to wish our high school students who will be taking AP exams beginning next week the best of luck on those tests. Last month, I announced the Department of Education's intention to waive state testing for all 3rd through 10th grade students this spring. New Jersey's federal waiver was approved. Therefore, there will be no NJSLA testing in the spring. Instead, students across the state of New Jersey will be assessed upon their return in September. They will not be taking the NJSLA, instead a state test. These assessments will most likely serve as a baseline for districts across New Jersey. In May, students with individual education plans that call for assessments will be tested along with English language learners. Our schools will be notifying families next week of those individual test dates. As many of you know, our teachers return to our school buildings on April 14th to prepare for the return of our students. As of now, still scheduled for September of 2021. I want to commend all Hillside Public School employees that return and thank PTAs and leadership teams for welcoming them back with open arms and making sure they know how special they are. I'd also like to thank those employees who have medical conditions that prevented them from returning, but they are still serving our students, delivering instruction virtually. Next week is Teacher Appreciation Week. I want to remind all staff that you remain the solution and play an integral role in making our students' dreams their living realities. Our staff continues to rise to the occasion and overcome challenges. Unlike many districts across the state, we implemented a 6-hour virtual instructional day for all students, which equated to 10 additional hours of instruction each week. That is yielding us some very positive results. Right now, we are on track to meet our student achievement goals that we set forth at the beginning of the year. Those goals were established by the state, and we are seeing increases in student outcomes in both math and English language arts. We have prepared a district-wide progress report that will be released after it is shared with board members this evening. Each school will also have their individual progress reports available for families by next week. These reports will highlight how the district and individual schools are progressing. Our goal is to keep families abreast of our progress and improvements while ensuring we are being transparent as we continue to become a district driven by data. This forthcoming Monday, May 3rd, we will be hosting a half day for students as our teachers will be receiving professional development hosted by our Director of Curriculum, Dr. James Bevere. The focus of this professional development will be on self-care for our staff. Self-care, as Dr. Bevere says, is an important component of a teacher's mental health and one that will be of vital importance for student success when our classrooms reopen. We are excited to open our doors to students and preparing for their return. During the month of May, our district-wide school reopening committee will launch, and individual schools will have school-based reopening committees. I'd like to thank the NFL Foundation and the New York Jets. On April 19th, Board President Cook and I were presented a check for $15,000 to purchase additional technology for the school district. I was just informed by the Jets earlier today that at some point tonight or tomorrow night after 7:30, we will be featured on the draft receiving our donation. I'd also like to thank our partners from Chiefs for Change, a bipartisan national superintendent's support group, for making the connection and supporting our efforts to improve schools in Hillside. Last week, we hosted a job fair. I'd like to thank those board members who supported our efforts and all Hillside Public School employees that assisted. Also, Dr. Bevere for coordinating. We landed some viable candidates to fill vacancies while acquiring more substitutes as our district continues to navigate the many facets of this pandemic. As announced last month, the Superintendent's Office and Family Success Center has been relocated to WOK, the Office of Special Services to the high school. I'd just like to give a humongous thanks to our facilities teams, our certified building or district manager, David DeFlori, for successfully relocating district personnel and administration so that we can begin the important work on the Saybrook building, along with the 195 Virginia Street, the future site of Hillside Innovation Academy. Finally, I am pleased to announce our district's new partnership with Kane University that will allow our students beginning in 9th grade to enroll in dual enrollment courses at the school. The Kane Future Scholars Program will begin this summer. Students will have classes on campus in the afternoon. This year, we'll have roughly 12 to 15 rising 9th graders who will begin their high school and college career at the same time. This is another sign of our steadfast commitment to accomplishing goals that we set forth. This partnership is really aimed at increasing dual enrollment and advanced place course opportunities for all students in Hillside Public Schools. New pathways, new possibilities. In closing, I'd like to thank our families, guardians, and caretakers for your continued partnership and support. Our improvements would not be possible without your sacrifices and efforts. I hope everyone remains safe and healthy. That concludes my report for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gregory. At this time, I would like to take a motion to go into executive session.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye. Be it resolved, pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, that the Board of Education meet in closed executive session at this time to discuss matters related to labor negotiations, attorney-client privileges.
You need to start.
Personnel and contracts. Motion to go back into public session.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. At this time, Ms. Best, can you go over items in finance?
I would like to move items 1 through 7 on the finance agenda.
Second.
Mr. Yanda?
Yes.
Ms. Best?
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons? Mr. Howard? Yes. Ms. Simmons?
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro?
Yes.
Ms. Tucker?
I'm gonna abstain from 4 and 5.
That's correct. Can I take a vote?
You too, 4 and 5?
Yes, because I wasn't on board.
You
And
got it.
also,
4 and 5 for Ms. Gibbons?
Yes.
You got it. Ms. Worrell?
Yes.
Ms. Cook?
Yes. Okay, Ms. Horton Gibbons, can you move items under buildings and grants?
I motion to move item number 1.
Second.
Mr. Yanda,
Yes.
Ms. Best,
Yes.
Ms. Horton Givens,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Ms. Simmons,
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro,
Yes.
Ms. Tucker,
Yes.
Ms. Wall,
Yes.
Ms. Cook.
Yes. Ms. Worrell, can you move items under education?
I have a question on education.
Absolutely.
Last now?
I think, motion, you had a motion and second, and then you
Hold for
can.
the second. Second on this?
I move, I didn't move again.
Ms. Moore?
I move to
That's
accept
fast.
items under education as presented by the superintendent.
Second.
And I have a question.
Yep.
On number 2, it's an idea, is it an overnight trip?
Yes.
Is it lodging, because it's not included?
Yes, there is lodging.
And is it like, going to be COVID-19 safety measures with the lodge, like 1 to a room, 2 to a room, like?
But from what I hear, they have a full floor. They're taking up a full section from what they said, and there will be COVID restrictions, and I believe they have rooms that they're getting, separate rooms.
We
for
don't
what
have
they
to
explained.
approve that, because it's not on you.
No.
No.
So
We
we'll
just
wrap up
approved-
into the trip.
Yeah, we're approving that whole trip.
But the cost for that isn't on you.
Students pay for that trip, we do not pay for that, that is all raised through
This is
the,
for liability purposes.
Oh, excellent. Excellent idea. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Yanda,
Yes.
Ms. Best,
Yes.
Ms. Horton Givens,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Ms. Simmons,
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro,
Yes.
Ms. Tucker,
Yes.
Ms. Wall,
Yes.
Ms. Cook.
yes. Ms. Worrell, can you move items under policy?
I move to move the items under policy as a first read.
Second.
Mr. Yanda,
Yes.
Ms. Best,
Yes.
Ms. Horton Givens,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Ms. Simmons, Mr. Shapiro,
Yes.
Ms. Tucker,
Yes.
Ms. Wall,
Yes.
Ms. Cook.
Yes. Mr. Shapiro, can you move items under labor?
Move items 1 through 41 under labor with the exceptions of those that are stricken. I believe it's 37, 38, and 39.
Second.
Mr. Yanda,
Can, before, I guess I can do that. I guess, no, before I vote, I just want to congratulate, I guess, Ms. Norma Huber and Ms. Anna Martinez. Both of them were nurses when my kids were in school, and they were very nice to me and my kids and all that, so I would just like to congratulate them on their retirement, and may they live prosperous and happy, and have fun in their retirement. Yes.
Vote?
So I am doing yes to everything except no to B.
Yeah, what? Yeah.
Oh, there's no number. I looked for, no, it is, 6B
60?
and no to 19J and no to 40.
Ms. Best,
Yes.
Ms. Horton Givens,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes, with the exception of 19J.
Ms. Simmons,
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro,
Yes.
Ms. Tucker,
Yes.
Ms. Wall,
Yes, with the exception of 19J.
Ms. Cook,
Yes.
all flop.
At this time, we have 2 additional motions to be walked on by our attorney.
The first one, be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the settlement agreement for special education student, Dr. Eichenholz will place the number, and authorizes the interim superintendent of schools to execute the settlement agreement.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Yanda,
Yes.
Ms. Best,
Yes.
Ms. Horton Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro,
Yes.
Ms. Simmons,
Yes.
Ms. Tucker,
Yes.
Ms. Wall,
Yes.
Ms. Cook.
Yes.
Next one, be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the settlement in the case entitled Todd Dowdy Sloan versus the Hillside Board of Education et al. In the amount of $43,500 to be paid by the board's insurance carrier. A copy of the settlement agreement would be on file in the board secretary's office.
Motion.
Okay.
Mr. Render,
Yes.
Ms. Best,
Yes.
Ms. Horton Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro,
Yes.
Ms. Simmons,
Yes, yes.
Ms. Tucker,
Yes.
Ms. Wall,
Yes.
Ms. Cook.
Yes. Miss, motion, okay, well, Ms. Best, can you close us out with board comments?
Good evening, everyone. I would like to just thank the board members that are here for showing up, for keeping our children first. I would like to also thank all the parents that are at home watching, all the staff. We appreciate all that everyone does for our district, and we believe that we are on the right track to becoming better, becoming stronger, and being in unity with one another. I wish everyone a happy and blessed evening, and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to close?
Motion closed.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.